always loved this portrait of our ancestor, Queen Charlotte.
Even a Lifetime special based on the romance of the present-day Duke and Duchess chimed in.
Oh, yes. You're of mixed race, Harry. So am I.
Why doesn't the Queen just come out and say it?
She can't. She may not. It's one of the things that the royal family cannot do. She will be stepping into political water.
You're saying that having black lineage is political in today's times.
Highly political.
I've always loved this.
The Queen is the wealthiest person on earth. Her gold carriage alone is made of 4 tons of solid gold, worth over $370 billion at today's gold prices. The Queen owns more than 300 residences, including castles and palaces, crown jewels, over 27,000 masterpieces, prize racehorses, and a fleet of Bentleys and Rolls-Royces. Her colossal wealth also includes crown land and investments that she inherited from her black nobility ancestors. The Queen is
On August 6, 1946, Queen Elizabeth II, who was still Princess Elizabeth at the time, was initiated
transfer Queen Elizabeth consciousness into a whole new body.
In 18th, 19th, and 20th century Europe, black women aristocrats belonging to nobility lived in various European countries. However, when you research about them, you will find even the most credible sources showing them as white. The paintings and historical records suggest that all European queens and princesses were white. But the truth is quite the opposite. Today we know that various European women aristocrats, princesses, and queens were black, which you should know about. In this video, we will tell you how Europe hid its history and whitewashed it by showing the black women of nobility as white. Watch the video until the very end, because this is going to change how you think about European royal families and aristocrats. Let's get started. Number 1. Queen Charlotte of Great Britain, Sophie. Charlotte was born in the Duchy of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, now part of modern-day Germany. She was the daughter of Duke Charles Louis Frederick of Mecklenburg-Strelitz and Princess Elizabeth Albertine of Saxe-Hildburghausen. Even though her family's lineage connects to various European noble houses, her genetic roots lie in Africa. Queen Charlotte married King George III and served as the Queen Consort of Great Britain and Ireland. As Queen Consort, Sophie Charlotte occupied a distinguished position within the British royal family and European nobility. She held the title Her Majesty the Queen, and gracefully fulfilled ceremonial duties and social responsibilities befitting her esteemed status. However, she was not from the white European aristocracy of that time. Rather, her genetic roots were African, and so was her complexion. Even if every historical source shows her as white, she was black in reality, and this is proven by the accounts of people who met and explained her features. Some art historians and researchers have pointed to features in portraits of Queen Charlotte that show her African heritage, such as her facial characteristics and skin tone. Furthermore, certain 18th century artworks portray her with what can be perceived as features not typically associated with European heritage because she really had African roots. One particularly notable piece of evidence comes from a 1773 letter written by Lord Chesterfield, a British nobleman. In this letter, Chesterfield made comments about the Queen's appearance, stating, "Her nose and chin are very large, and if she was not as black as a coal, she would be ugly." It's important to recognize that this statement reflects the perceptions of beauty and racial descriptors of that era, which differed from contemporary understandings. Yet this proves Queen Charlotte was not white. Another historical account comes from Ignatius Sancho, a former slave who became a writer and correspondent in 18th century England. In a letter to the Duke of Montague, Sancho mentioned Queen Charlotte as having a true mulatto face. Some have interpreted this reference as potential confirmation of Queen Charlotte's African ancestry. Now, it's quite clear that Queen Charlotte's grandmother, Sophie, had African heritage through her maternal line. Sophie's mother, Margaretha von der Sale, was of African origin, suggesting that this lineage contributed to Sophie Charlotte's physical appearance. Queen Sophie Charlotte was celebrated for her love of arts and sciences. She ardently supported the works of German composer Johann Christian Bach and maintained a personal orchestra at her court. Number 2. Dido Elizabeth Bell. Dido Elizabeth Bell was born in 1761 in the West Indies. She was the daughter of Sir John Lindsay, a British naval officer, and an African woman, Maria Bell, who had been enslaved on a British ship. After she was born, Dido was brought to England, most likely by her father, and joined the European aristocracy while being a black woman. She was placed under the care of her great-uncle William Murray, the first Earl of Mansfield, and his wife Lady Elizabeth Murray. Dido held an exceptional place in British society during that time. She grew up as a companion to her cousin Lady Elizabeth Murray, and were both raised in the Mansfield household. This situation was uncommon because Dido had African ancestry, and racial bias was prevalent in 18th century England. Dido's great-uncle, Lord Mansfield, was a significant figure within the British legal system. He eventually rose to become the Lord Chief Justice of England. It should be noted that her rulings in some pivotal legal cases had significant consequences for the movement to abolish slavery in England. One such case was the well-known Somerset v. Stewart case in 1772. In this instance, Lord Mansfield's decision declared that slavery couldn't be upheld by English common law. While this ruling didn't directly put an end to slavery in England, it marked a notable stride toward its eventual demise. Victoria conferred upon her the name Sarah Forbes Bonetta, adding Forbes in honor of the naval officer who had rescued her, and Bonetta from the name of his ship, the
to the black woman.
I've always loved this portrait of our ancestor, Queen Charlotte.
Even a Lifetime special based on the romance of the present-day Duke and Duchess chimed in.
Oh, yes. You're of mixed race, Harry. So am I.
Why doesn't the Queen just...
The Queen was buried with nothing.
Who was our first black president?
Well, Barack?
Get off the chair. Who's our first black president? Who's our
George Washington?
History is a lie. How were the people of England, Scotland, and Ireland described in the 17th century? André Duchesne, the French geographer and historian, generally styled the father of French history. In his book titled Histoire d'Angleterre, d'Écosse et d'Irlande, he says about the people of northern Scotland, the inhabitants of these islands are tall, white, robust, slender, and very long-lived, as usually 100 or 20 years, but they are not as warlike or as great warriors as those of the Western Islands. They have a particular language called Norden, which some believe to be that of the ancient Goths. The English in general are large in size and build, white in face and body, and stubby, and very fleshy in their limbs. Most of them have blue eyes, blonde or red wigs and beards. And in the 17th century French book, Méthode facile pour apprendre l'histoire d'Angleterre, give us a portrait of the English. They are almost all handsome, with blue eyes, a white complexion, long hair, a beautiful and slim waist, but they appear embarrassed not having as much of it as the French, the Italians, and the Spanish.
What I find appalling, Diane, is the way that you stare at me when I just told you subterranean people are trying to take over this world.
When I found out there were 8 presidents before George Washington.
If you in the South and you so happen to inherit or buy a house and it look like this.
Now, this is where Queen Elizabeth comes from. And does she look, this is Queen Alexandria. Do she look like a white woman or a mulatto? This is why all their hair is always up. A whitey person, pure whitey, don't have hair like that. These are the mulatto groups of people. This is why the Queen always got a little mini fro. Because of where she came from. She can always make sure she got that resemblance of her nobility, because the only black nobility, what you call the swarthy, was the nobility of Europe. The Huguenots was the nobility of Europe. That's why she wear her hair to be like her ancestors as a sign of nobility affiliation. Okay? Listen, history is a lie. That's his story, not the story. Are we gonna, listen now, we gonna ruin the lies. We putting the truth out. These are the things they hide from us that make a lot of people think they're gonna disrespect us. You have Camino Chinos, they have no history, they have nothing, thinking they're gonna disrespect a group of people that been around the sun and come back. Not even the sun can burn us out of existence. We endure all sorts of things, all sorts of malefic intentions, all sorts of discriminations, all sorts of abuse, all sorts of backstabbing, and we still here.
Following Chicago's lead today, closing down exhibit halls and Native American displays to follow new federal rules requiring special permissions to exhibit sacred cultural artifacts.
So what does it look like inside the Field Museum right now, and what's the real impact for the museum and others across the country? Our Tara Molina spent the day working to answer those questions and brings us the story inside the Field Museum.
We're not Indians and we're not Native Americans. We're older than both concepts. We're the people, we're the human being. Okay, I got a question for you because it's hard for non-indigenous or native to understand because we're told a million things. It sort of goes against this, so correct me
Where's your proof that brown-eyed people are smarter than blue-eyed people?
I tell you, brown-eyed people. You just listen. Now this is going to be an effort for you.
It's gonna be a lesson.
That's going to be an effort for you because you aren't accustomed to listening. White males are accustomed to telling things. They aren't accustomed to listening. Now, brown-eyed people are responsible for the fact that you have electricity. Many of the components for generating and transmitting electricity were invented by brown-eyed people. Brown-eyed people gave us our alphabet. Brown-eyed people gave us our numeration system. Brown-eyed people gave us the paper on which we write these anonymous letters to me that tell me that brown-eyed people are inferior. When you go home, you people do not pray for me, particularly you. Don't you pray for me. Because, see, I don't have to worry about that. All of a sudden, you ain't going to pray for me. Now, brown-eyed people are the ones who originated or who founded every major religion on this earth. No white people have ever founded a major religion. Now, you need to realize the contributions that have been made to society, to civilization, by brown-eyed people, by people of color. I'm talking about people of color here, folks. And most of us are not aware of those things because we live in a racist society and because we are educated by a racist school system that only teaches us about white contributions. And that's a fact. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. If we would start telling the truth in schools, we would not have racism.
Now what's going on here, America? This is the Black royal family of Britain. Way before Queen Elizabeth, way before King Charles, this was indigenous black people that ran the world. I'ma say that again. This is a royal black family that ran Great Britain. Where you get your Berlin Wall from and everything. Come on now. America, we need some answers on this one. Why they didn't tell me about this in school, America?
Happy Black History, y'all. This is Mary Magdalene, or likeness of her. She was known for her relationship with Jesus, in which some people said that she was his wife and bared his children. She was an Ethiopian priestess and a devotee of the Virgin Mary, or the Great Mother. She came from
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong. But I shall not have strength to carry out this resolution alone unless you join in it with me, as I now invite you to do. I know that your support will be unfailingly given. God help me to make good my vow.
Yeah, so royal and boss, they say yes sir. Shout out to myself, that's my investor. Made another meal, let's run it back like Devin Hester. Pistol in my dresser, baby this is silk, not polyester. Yes sir, baby I'm a boss, they say yes.
Never give a broke bitch any time of day. You ugly when you jealous, bitch, look at that face. I'm hot right now when you not, okay? Or you big mad, or you big mad. Got a big bag, popping big tags. All white. Imagine if I listen what a hater gotta say.
By Queen Njinga Mande. Alright, so boom. Queen Njinga was born in modern-day Angola. She grew up studying military and political tactics. Nice at both, she was known for her skill with a battle axe. She was so nice at politicking that her father, the king, made her ambassador to the Portuguese. Get you one that could do both! When her father died, her brother became Ngola, or king. Fearing challenges to the throne, he killed many of his family members, including Njinga's son, and forcibly had her and her sister sterilized, which is effed up. After a short, disastrous reign, Njinga's brother died under mysterious circumstances. Now Ngola, Njinga would command respect, killing her brother's son in retaliation for the murder of her own. Just double effed up. But not offered a chair by the Portuguese as an insult during negotiations, and Njinga's servant knelt and acted as her seat. Never conceding defeat, Njinga refused to pay tribute to the Portuguese. In years of war, Njinga was cunning and ruthless. Today,
Black royalty Jews ruled Europe. Blacks once ruled all of Europe. We were all royalty because we came from the bloodline of
Creep on in, on in, on in.